Now, our laundry room, like many, is just about big enough for the washer and dryer. When I think about it though, a lot happens in that little space besides washing and drying. There's sorting and folding and ironing. Why, it's a beehive of activity. Maybe that's why my wife Lynn wants to make every square inch count.
We need some kind of ledge somewhere where we can put the laundry and sort it.
What about the appliances, the washer and dryer themselves?
I think I'd really like to get updated appliances.
And the cabinets up here, is that you still want
Those
storage
cabinets,
up there?
oh definitely. I mean, you have to have something to store all your detergents. I do need something where the clothes can be hung once they're out of the washer if they're not going to be put into the dryer.
Like a rack? Some kind of rack?
Yeah, just you know, some kind of pole.
Well, I've taken Lynn's suggestions into consideration and I've come up with a plan that I think is going to work quite well. It involves moving the washer and dryer from this wall over here to this wall underneath the window, putting in a couple of cabinets up above in each corner, one here and one here, adding a run of cabinets down this wall, and then adding this drop leaf table underneath. To remove the wallpaper, I first perforate it, then spray on an enzyme type remover. I give the chemical stripper plenty of time to work, then just peel off the old paper. Next, I say goodbye to the washer and dryer and pull down the old cabinetry. The new washing machine location means new plumbing. I begin by installing a recessed shutoff valve and outlet box. Once it's in place, I start putting together the drain pipe. I transition from plastic to copper pipe because I have very limited space to work in here, and also because the rest of my plumbing is copper. The drain will pass through the floor and into the basement below, where I'll hook it up to the existing system. When putting together pipe runs with lots of twists and turns, I pre-assemble subsections, then solder the remaining joints once everything's in place. Next, I cut smaller half-inch copper pipe for the water lines and attach them to the shutoff valve. Because this is an exterior wall, I'm using foam insulating sleeves and also packing plenty of fiberglass between the pipes and the outer walls. The last step here is to replace the wall board. Both the washer and dryer will need electrical outlets. After cutting the holes, I thread wire up from the basement, set the boxes in place, connect the receptacles, and attach the cover plates. I'm locating the hole for the dryer vent so that it's directly opposite the outlet on the machine. This way I'll avoid any bends, turns, or kinks in the vent pipe and maximize the dryer's efficiency by streamlining the airflow. Now it's time to build the drop leaf folding table that will attach to the wall. I'm back from the Home Improvement Center with the materials. Now, originally I was going to use particle board and cover it with plastic laminate, but instead I've decided to use these melamine panels. They're covered with this vinyl coating on the top, bottom, and all around the edge. The only disadvantage to this material is because of the covering, I really can't glue the components together. So I'm going to use this joinery system over here. It's called pocket hole joinery. I'll show you more about this in just a moment. Now I want to start by building the unit that actually attaches to the wall. And look at the underside here. You'll see it's really kind of a box with braces. In fact, I'm going to flip this over so you can see it from the bottom because we're going to build this bottom side up. We'll start by putting in a front rail, then adding two ends, some mid supports, and finally the rear rail. And then when that's all done, we'll add the leaf. The first thing to do is to cut a couple of the panels into strips for the table, apron, and braces. Pocket hole joinery relies on a jig that holds the drill at a steep angle and produces a hole that runs almost parallel to the face of a board. Special screws are inserted into these holes and, when driven in, pull the boards tightly together. Now, this is the portion of the drop leaf table that's going to mount up against the wall, just like this. And next, we'll go ahead and put the drop leaf itself on. Now that's just another piece of this same melamine, 12 inches wide, 4 feet long. Go right in here like that. Now remember, we're looking at this bottom side up. And then that leaf will get attached with this strip of piano hinge. This self-centering drill bit positions the pilot holes directly in the center of the pre-drilled hinge holes and keeps from pulling the hinge out of alignment as the screws are driven in. What really makes this table work as a drop leaf table is this folding and locking support brace. Well, now it's time to put up the cabinets. Now this isn't going to be too difficult a job, but I am working alone, so I'm going to have to employ a couple of techniques to make the job a little more manageable. First of all, I've taken the shelves out and the doors off the cases. That's going to make these lighter and more manageable. Secondly, I'm going to attach this strip of wood, which I call a ledger, to the wall temporarily. I screw the ledger into the studs, then set the bottom edge of the cabinets on it. Now this simple little T-shaped brace will allow me to keep my hands free while I get ready to attach this to the wall. The first cabinet I secure to the wall with screws. Then I set the next one on the ledger, clamp the front edges tightly, drill countersunk pilot holes, and screw the face frames together. Then I remove the clamps and move on to the next cabinet. Once the cases are up, I remove the ledger and finally reinstall the doors. Ah, very nice. Just a couple more of these to do. I install yet another ledger to hold up the rear edge of the folding table. Then use one of my work supports to prop up the front while I attach the table to the wall studs with lag screws. Well, my plan's coming along nicely. The folding table's up and the cabinets are hung. I do believe it's time to do a little shopping for a washer and dryer. Now, some of the research I've been looking at says these front-loading washing machines are quieter, faster, use less water, and are gentler on clothes. My only concern is that I've got a very small laundry room, and I'm not sure that I can accommodate this swinging door right here. So, I've been looking at this. This is brand new from Maytag. It has a lot of the front-loader technology in it, but it's a top-load unit, and I think this might be the way I'll go. Well, that's it. Everything's in, and I'm going to put it all to the test myself. When you open this top loader, one of the first things you notice is that there's no agitator. These rotating discs do the work instead. This high-tech machine uses less power and water and requires a special high-efficiency detergent for best results. Detergent, fabric softener, and bleach are dispensed automatically. The control panel even has a countdown clock that lets me know how soon the load will be finished. The folding table is out of the way until I need it. And when it's up, there's plenty of space for sorting and folding. Now, I'm only doing this for purposes of demonstration, you understand. I've also installed this ironing board that not only folds down, but rotates to the most comfortable and convenient position. Our new iron has a heating base that plugs in, but the iron itself is, that's right, cordless. And that ironing board, when I'm finished, it's up, up, and away. Now I haven't forgotten that Lynn asked for some hanging space. This pull-out rack should do the trick, and it'll fold up against the wall when it's not needed. Well, this passes the Hazelton practicality test. Let's see what the wife thinks of it. Lynn, take a look, hon.
Wow!